Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we got some stuff to talk about. In this video, I want to share with you all two stories that I want to report on in relation to The Division Heartland. One quite saddening, as you can maybe tell from the title, and one that is a bit more insightful and intriguing. Now, some of you may be asking, who cares about Heartland since it got cancelled? We're not going to get to play this thing. The short answer is, I do, and I think anything that we learn moving forward about what went down across the nearly 5 years of its development is interesting to learn about. It paints us a more clear picture, and in general, it just gives us more illumination to what's going on behind the scenes at Ubisoft and with these different studios. So like I said, we're just going to break these down one by one, explain their significance. Let's jump right in. Alright, so the first story to go over is that Red Storm Entertainment, who was the lead development studio on The Division Heartland, they were the same team and studio that supported The Division 1 and 2 for years before that, they have suffered a round of layoffs, and among those impacted is somebody who I would consider to be a Division legend. I first saw this from Jason Schreier, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with. He's a big reporter within the gaming industry. He tweeted this out back on Friday. More industry layoff news. Ubisoft has laid off 45 people from its San Francisco and North Carolina Red Storm offices this week, Bloomberg has learned. Earlier this year, Red Storm canceled a game based on Tom Clancy's The Division. And as a side note, obviously we know that was The Division Heartland. So I saw this and was immediately hit by a wave of sadness. Across the gaming industry, there have been mass waves of layoffs for like a year and a half now. It's a really unfortunate time. It's left many developers feeling fearful and unexcited for the future, which really isn't the environment you typically want for morale or to deliver the best product in any kind of a creative field. Ubisoft hasn't been exempt from these layoffs, but it has seemed like they're maybe a bit more stable. And while 45 might not seem like a lot across the grand scheme of the company, this one definitely hits close to home for me, and I'm guessing will for some of you all as well. Because once I saw this news, I immediately started to do some digging to see if anyone we knew publicly in the Division sphere had been impacted, and it didn't take me long to discover that among the 45 laid off, Keith Evans has been let go by Ubisoft from Red Storm Entertainment. To some of you longtime fans, you might already feel the gut punch of that, but in case the name isn't familiar, Keith has been with Red Storm since April of 2015, here's his LinkedIn readout on screen, and ever since then, to my knowledge, he's exclusively worked on The Division. For any who would watch State of the Game back in the day, Keith was the guy who was always on the couch alongside Terry Spear, the other big longtime Red Storm legend. These two were the face of the studio, in my eye. They had major involvement in the Division 1's PvP and post-launch support. Most notably, they basically led the entirety of the 1.8 update. And then after Terry's voluntary departure from Red Storm back around late 2021, Keith served as the creative director on the Division Heartland all the way up until its cancellation and now being let go. I mean, he was one of the main speakers in that Heartland deep dive trailer that we were all shown. On his LinkedIn, he put out this post confirming the news. Well, after 10 great years, I was laid off today from Red Storm Entertainment. I'm leaving with immense pride for the passion I was able to bring to the Division brand and wish everyone still with the studio the very best of luck. If anyone knows of any opportunities, I would really appreciate the assist. My experience makes me well suited for creative/game director and lead design positions. So, yeah, this just sucks, no other way to put it. As he said, a decade of service and work to this franchise that we all love, and it's over just like that. Logistically, I can't say that I'm shocked, unfortunately. I mean, overnight, Red Storm went from a studio helming development of a new AAA live service game to suddenly being solely a support studio on X-Defiant and Rainbow Six Siege. And so for a role like Keith's as creative director, where does that fit in when these games already have their leadership structures in place? And I mean, it just speaks even more to the tragedy of the entire Heartland and Red Storm saga. Obviously, this does not fall on the studio. This is entirely on Ubisoft's end. But yeah, to me, this is inarguably a huge loss of a Division legend, one of the greats that has been around since day one. And speaking personally to Keith, on the off chance that you ever see this video, I endlessly appreciate the work and passion that you put into our franchise. It saddens me to know that your contributions to it have been cut short. And just to amplify the last part of his message, on the off chance that anyone listening is in the position to help Keith or any of the other affected individuals find new opportunities, please reach out and do so. And I do want to stress that while the loss of Keith for the Division is saddening, there are 44 other people out there who just lost their jobs as well. I haven't personally been able to identify any of the others, at least any that we would be aware of in the Division space who have an online presence, but my heart goes out to all of them as well, and I sincerely hope that everybody impacted by this is able to find new work. So to close this bit off, I'll just say that this is simply sad news, and while I know many of you had to remain hopeful that Red Storm's time on X-Defiant and Rainbow Six would be short-lived, and that soon they would be coming back to the Division to work on Div 3 or retool Heartland to be a DLC part of Division 3, seeing this news, it just kind of solidifies my belief that I really just don't think Red Storm is the same studio that we knew even a few months ago, or really a few years ago, which is sad to say. But I wish them all the best, and we will see where things lead from here. Alright, now on a slightly more positive, or at least interesting note, the second Heartland story for this video has to do with some leaked quote-unquote game content that got posted online, which might not sound significant, but I think it might just be the beginning of a trend that we're going to see more frequently moving forward. Let's jump over and take a look at this. Alright, so here we are on ArtStation, which for any who don't know is a website and platform that artistic individuals will use to upload little snippets of their work, basically use it as a way to build a portfolio that is publicly viewable. Specifically here, we are on the profile of Alexander Bluzenkov. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, I apologize. Now, you're probably thinking, who is that, why are we here? Well, you might notice that his most recent posting over here, the little image window, has the logo for The Division Heartland, and it's titled Division Heartland Character 3D Art. Now, why is this person posting about that? Well, you can see over here, he says, some of the game titles that I've worked on most recently include The Division Heartland, before that, Halo Infinite, Black Ops 4, Doom 4, a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to go down the list here, and if we quickly jump on over to LinkedIn, he is an art director, and if you look at his recent experience, you can see for 3 years and 4 months between August of 2020 and November of 2023, he worked at a contract position at Red Storm Entertainment. The description says that for those 3 years, he worked on Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland, using full character pipeline production from block out to textures, NPC, heroes, clothing, and equipment. Now, what this all is indicative of that I want to take a look at is I believe this is the start of a trend. I've been looking like pretty regularly on ArtStation or just anywhere online for stuff like this to begin happening, because here's the reality. People worked on Heartland, like I said, for nearly 5 years, and with it just suddenly being canceled, it means that all of that work goes right out the window. Some of these people need stuff to put in their portfolios. They want to share this stuff that they worked on so passionately for nearly half of a decade. And so finally we have this posting by Alexander of some of the work he did on the game. We can take a look at the posting here. It shows the concept and basically the final models for these 2 different NPC archetypes from what I'm assuming was the new enemy faction in the game. You can see you got the logo for Red Storm and all these, as well as the official logo for The Division Heartland. So these alone are pretty cool. It's very high resolution images, like I said, of both of these 2 enemy faction archetypes. The description of the post, as you can see over here, he says, just one of the characters that I did a couple of years ago for Red Storm and The Division Heartland, and this is posted just last week. And so yeah, it's my belief that we are going to be seeing more and more of this stuff as the months and probably even years go on. People will think enough time has passed, maybe I can post a few of these things without getting in trouble, because again, they put a lot of hard work into this stuff, and maybe even more importantly, they want to be able to show what they did to potential future employers to secure new jobs, new contract positions, whatever it may be. And while that's great for them, I think it's interesting for us as fans to be able to get these glimpses of what was going to be in The Division Heartland, given that we only saw a limited amount of the game from whatever Ubisoft's marketing teams wanted us to see, right, in these trailers. We hadn't seen anything like this, which is, you know, a deep dive and a closer look at the new enemy faction for the game. Whatever other stuff they might show us in the future, who knows, but that I just think this is all kind of interesting. And so yeah, bottom line of this story here is just to keep an eye out online for future stuff that might be posted like this, like I said, that these artists and game designers and whatever might want to show moving forward. So there you have it, everybody. Those are the 2 Division Heartland related stories that I wanted to report on for you today. Obviously the first one on a much more somber note with Red Storm being hit with layoffs, Keith Evans among them, and then as we just covered with the other one on a bit more of an intriguing element, people beginning to post some of their work that they did for so long on this game. As I said, I think this is just the beginning of stuff that we will continue to hear about this game as the months and years progress. I think the true story and full picture of Heartland is far from over, far from fully revealed. So we'll see what we learn moving forward, and as always, I will keep you in the loop with anything that I think is relevant and interesting. Very much hope you enjoyed this video for today, though. Thank you all for watching. My call to action at the end here is just a reminder that if you are by chance in any kind of a position to either directly help out or at least just amplify the messages from Keith or anybody else who was laid off, in my mind it is the very least we could do as fans of their work and enjoyers of everything that they put into the division for all of these years, to now try and help them land on their feet, gain new opportunities, feed their families. So yeah, please do that if you're at all able, and I'm sure LinkedIn is the prime engine to make that happen. That's going to do it for me today though, everybody. As I said, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, RogueGold out.